Hey there, Scott Yurgulevich from Philadelphia Cricket Club, coming at you with another swing tip or swing analysis for the Reddit community. I saw this one. I thought it was a really interesting swing, some really, really good components, and I thought it would be worth kind of showing the community like how I operate and would look at this swing on a, if this person was on my lesson tee. So when I saw this swing, I said, man, this kid's got some really good things happening in his swing. One of them being he's got great depth on the way back. His path doesn't stink. He actually filmed it from the right angle. All these things are really good. The first thing I would take a look at and go is I would basically roll through the swing a little bit, and I'm going to play the swing through, and I'm going to take some notes, and I'm going to go, okay, what is going on with this player's backswing that's causing some of his issues? I'm assuming he has contact issues, maybe some ball flight issues, but as the club goes back, we see that there's like an issue with the pitch of the shaft at P2. So like when the club gets back to parallel to the ground, he does some good things. Like his arms are really long and really straight. The hands and arms are moving in, but his club is way back here. So that's going to lead us to some problems later. But let's see what else he does. And I'm going to say all the things that are really good, but also point out some things that might need some adjusting. So the number one, the pitch of the shaft at P2 is just way too flat and way too low, again, causing some issues later on in the downswing. So as he takes the club further back, I'm going to stop him here. Guy's got great depth. Like that thing is, his arms and hands are way back, way in there. It's a good thing to have depth. How much depth is too much depth? It's kind of up to the discretion of the instructor or the player. But basically, I think he's got great depth there, but he's doing it at the expense of not having much like angle to the shaft at that point. Players have really great depth. Would be like a Zach Johnson who has a strong grip, similar to this player. He manages the club face very well, just like this player on our screen here. Has great depth. But what he does is he makes sure the shaft is just a little more vertical at certain points in his swing, so he can have a little more of an angle of attack into the golf ball. So maybe he kind of doesn't miss hit the ball as similarly to this gentleman here. So things this player does really well. Does a great job of getting their arms up to the top of their backswing. And if this was the top of the backswing, that'd be great. It's not. Um, you know, Strong grip. You're going to have to manage the club face. He does that with his left wrist to keep the loft on the face. That's great. Strong grip players, if they have a flat left wrist at the top, that's probably a no-no. You're probably hooking it off the planet at that point. So we watch this player's backswing, and eventually he'll keep going back. There we go. That's almost the top of the backswing there. So there's a lot of extra extension at the top. We're not going to talk too much about that because I think if we fix some of the other things in his backswing, he will create better positions at P4, which I call the top of the backswing. So let's get to some like visuals for this player. So what I would say is if you were standing on my lesson tee, the first thing I'd do is I'd get you a visual of like what is supposed to happen in this backswing. I'd put this hula hoop around you and go, okay, number one, we need to adjust your setup. So if I'm kind of bent over, my hands are really low, kind of stuck in between my legs, and my path or my hand path is really low and around me, this hula hoop would look like this, which is kind of what we've got. And, there's maybe a little more angle to it because we know the club needs to get in the air. But at some point, we need to figure out how to get this hula hoop to tilt more like this. Now, we play golf on a tilted angle. Unfortunately, we don't get to play it like this, kind of on the side. We don't play it, out in front of us here. We play it on the ground. So we need to have some sort of angles. This player has some decent hip turn, hip tilt, shoulder tilt. It's just his arms and hands are a little confused at where to go. So we will work on some things in the drill video that will help with this. But basically, the visual is going to be, this is this player's swing at the moment with maybe a little more tilt to it. We need to correct that so when he comes into this golf ball, if you can see this here, his angle of attack is going to be very shallow. He's going to have a low point that's probably trending backwards. It could just be haphazardly done from day to day, right? So it could be perfect. It might not be perfect. But the angle of attack issue is going to be what's his main issue. Let's talk about a couple drills we can do to visualize and fix the path and the pitch of the shaft during the backswing. So like we talked about, if I re-grab this hula hoop, we said that your problem is that you go too around, the shaft doesn't have any angle to it at, P2 and P3. So you have probably a low point problem, a contact problem, and angle of attack problem. So it sounds like a lot. And I also want to make special note that you don't have to change your grip at the moment. Like there's nothing wrong. It looks like you have a stronger grip, but you manage the club face fairly appropriately with the grip that you have. So keep doing what you're doing. I think you have bigger fish to fry. I know a lot of people will look at the grip and go, oh, fix the club face. It's, we've got this like cup left wrist. it's fine if you can manage the face. You just got to match up those components. So anyway, so you've got a problem where the shaft is not up in the air enough per se. It needs to be pitched more this way. So if I were to hold this hula hoop like this, kind of from the previous video, when I make my backswing, my left arm and my left elbow points more downward. So when you do yours pronates and points more leftward. So you probably point yours more, 90 degrees to the target. So you're more this way, where I'm more this way. One of the ways we can work on that, and it's probably not going to be a drill that you hit golf balls with, but I would say it's going to be very helpful in terms of visualizing the solution, is get your left hand on the club the same way you normally do. Take your right hand, put it on normally, and then slide it down to the actual shaft of the club, past the grip. I want you to hold it kind of like a, split grip type of drill here. And we use split grip drills for many things, but yours is going to be specifically for how the left arm moves in the backswing. So typically you would set up, you get really, really close, and then you take the club back inside. And the first thing you do is you would point that left elbow kind of 90 degrees to the golf ball. So if the target's that way, you're pointing it this way. So first of all, make sure you've got a little bit of space here. Your arm's got a little bit of space to dangle. And from here, I want you to make some backswings where that left elbow points more downward. And you're going to notice the pitch of the shaft gets way more vertical than it did before. So left elbow more down, still creating depth. So I have depth being this. But if I pronate my left arm and roll it outwards, and it points out, you're going to notice the pitch of the shaft is way more low, way flatter. So when we do that, if I tried to hit a golf ball from here, there's a lot of things that I have to try to do to create a good, solid strike of the golf ball. It's coming into the ball so, I'll say, shallowy. Maybe I made that up, but so shallow that it has almost no angle of attack to it. So it could hit a quarter of an inch behind the ball, 2 inches, 3 inches. You might swing and hit the equator of the golf ball. I think I saw one in there where you kind of hit this like low little laser beam. You just have an angle of attack problem. So left arm goes more down, elbow more down, so the pitch of the shaft gets more here. You can make some pumps with it, and you see how my club's coming down more on an angle, and it would strike the ball down and out, where yours would come down. Let's see if I can cup it. There we go. So I come down. It's really flat, really close, and you've got a club that's approaching the ball with a really shallow angle of attack, and then in return, you even kind of turn it down and get the handle really low post impact. The next drill we talk about is going to be for your exit, so you can kind of like work with both things and try to make it better, through a couple different drills. So the other drill I would say, and you can use pretty much anything you want for this, just something that's taller, maybe your golf bag, a stick, a rod, alignment rod, whatever it might be. And I want you to take that stick, rod, alignment, whatever it is, stick it out here, kind of out in front of your lead foot, but not necessarily in the path of the golf ball per se. And I want you to set up, get your normal setup, which is now going to be a little more like up in the air. It's a little taller. I want the handle of the club to point more at your belt line, maybe a little bit above it for you, instead of down here between your thighs. And from here, I want you to practice as if this is like a mountain right here. I want you to feel like it's very tall, and I want you to practice getting the pitch of the shaft more up. And then when you come down, swinging kind of up, out, and over it. I don't want the handle of the club to be so low and around you. I just need the club to start working its way up a little bit sooner instead of low and around. So we're increasing the height on this side to then increase the height on this side. And it should match up a little bit more on each side. So it should feel like if I had 2 golf clubs, which I don't, one would be here. There's the pitch of the shaft, comes back down, and the pitch of the shaft. There we go. Something more like this on the other side. We're just trying to match it up. It's just really hard to hit a golf ball with no angle of attack and a handle that's super duper low to the ground. Hopefully that makes sense. Give me a holler and a shout if you need anything. I'm more than happy to help. Thanks. Take care.